Okay, so I want to talk today about the incredibly important subject about menopause and the skin. And this is such an important subject that I'm sure you'll find it interesting, but there's so many practical implications to changes that are going on in this area that it's something that's worth every woman, and indeed male partner, focusing on and understanding. So I hope you find it interesting. And if you have questions afterwards, then obviously pop those down on the comments and I'll get round to responding to some of those in the future. So when we think about menopause and the skin, the first thing I want to make clear is that I'm a consultant dermatologist. I am a skin specialist. I'm not an obs and gynae doctor. I'm not a urologist. I'm not a hormone doctor. I'm not a primary care GP physician. And within these different groups of medical colleagues, there are some who are specialists in this area of the menopause and treatments such as hormone replacement therapy. But it's important that I talk to some of these aspects because as a practitioner whose clinical load is predominantly, overwhelmingly women, it's something that I've had an active interest in for many years, often going a little beyond just specifically the skin. So first of all, what happens in the menopause is essentially that the ovaries shut down. Their production of estrogen, and particularly a chemical called estradiol, basically drops off, starts reducing through what we call the perimenopause, and then when you have the menopause, really drops pretty much to zero. And the implications of this on the skin are profound. It's thought that we lose about 1% of our collagen in our skin a year normally, but in the 5 years after menopause, it's calculated that between 20 to 30% of your collagen goes. This is like dropping off a cliff for your skin. So I always say to my patients regarding the menopause that you're collagen light and that you're lipid poor, because your collagen component drops dramatically. And the lipids, these are the substances like squalene, cholesterol, ceramides that sit in the very surface of the stratum corneum, the skin barrier of your skin. These drop off dramatically as well. So we get a drop off on the resilience and the strength of your skin, presenting as wrinkles and folds, and the skin barrier function of hydration drops dramatically as well. So you get dry, itchy skin, classically as part of menopausal skin change. Now, put simply, if all this occurs in your skin because your estrogen's dropped off, then obviously a simple solution is to put the estrogen back, as in hormone replacement therapy, or as specialists around the world are increasingly calling it, menopausal placement therapy. So with HRT replacing hormones, this definitely, if started shortly after the menopause or during the perimenopause, can stop this coming off the cliff, this 30% of collagen loss and the skin barrier change. But of course, the concern about hormone replacement therapy has been the dangers associated with it. And these dangers really come from a publication called the Women's Health Initiative study, which reported an increased incidence of breast cancer in patients that were taking HRT. And it's pretty much led to this being a kind of no-go area for a lot of women and for a lot of medical doctors in the past 20 years. But I think recent reanalysis of this Women's Health Initiative study has shown the interpretation of the data was pretty misleading. And although there was a slight rise in breast cancer incidence, it was, if the data was analysed in a particular way, for every one increased case of breast cancer death, 199 patients were deprived of hormone replacement therapy. And bear in mind that hormone replacement therapy isn't just helpful for a dermatologist like me as a practitioner, but for the patients, it helps with cognitive decline, helps retard that. It's great for bone health, great for metabolic health, There are so many benefits to hormone replacement therapy that it's rather regrettable, perhaps, that it's had such a bum rap over the past few years. The FDA are in the process of taking warning labels off certainly HRT products, and I do think it's something that needs to be seriously considered now and rediscussed with their selected healthcare professional who's an expert in this area, because views are changing. Just to say, if you're confused about the safety of hormone replacement therapy, there are a handful of absolute contraindications to systemic hormone therapy. If you've had breast cancer, if you've got a very strong history of breast cancer, if you've had an estrogen sensitive cancer anywhere in the body, you can only consider systemic hormone replacement therapy under the care of a full-time hormone specialist. If you've had a myocardial infarction or a significant arterial blockage or significant vascular blockage, you must not consider hormone replacement therapy unless you're under the care of an expert. Likewise, vaginal bleeding, bad metabolic, poor health is also a relative contraindication. So there's a number of conditions where systemic hormone replacement therapy can't be thought of. But in the absence of those, I think the medical profession is slowly changing and thinking perhaps it's had an inappropriately negative subtherapeutic consideration of hormone replacement therapy. And of course, as I have explained, systemic hormone therapy is dramatically helpful for all the skin problems. So I'm going to set aside the fact that a great treatment for the skin in the menopause is to have hormone replacement therapy. Let me concentrate on topical treatments that the dermatologist would talk about. And here, if you remember, we're low on collagen and low on lipids moisturizing the skin. That helps guide what a good program is. And a good program is bearing in mind the skin barrier impact of the lower lipids in your stratum corneum. You must adjust, if you're not already, to using a gentle cleansing regime. So we need to go gentle on the skin barrier. We need to up the level of lubing moisturizers, the level of humectants, occlusive and emollients in your moisturizers, particularly looking for things that contain ceramides. These need to be amplified in menopausal skin and often used more regularly, particularly in cold times of the year, particularly in the winter when the skin barrier is attacked more. Also, the master gold standard topical treatment for skincare is groups of retinoids. Whether you have an over-the-counter retinoid or whether you go for the gold standard prescription retinoic acid, because retinoids rebuild the skin barrier, help thicken the epidermis and dermis of the skin, build on that critical collagen that is being lost as part of the menopause. So considering a retinoid skin treatment is very important. And SPFs are very important. You're getting already decreasing numbers of collagen fibroblasts and molecules in the skin. You don't want to speed that up. You want to decrease what we call inflammaging. So more aggressive use of SPF sunscreens and also collagen stabilizing molecules such as antioxidants like vitamin C. In other words, the things you've heard about me talking about in other contexts of active skincare, but upping the ante, if you like, on the moisturizing and retinoid front are important. Now, an obvious question is going to be, well, if the problem is lack of estrogen, what about estrogen containing creams? Now, I'm not talking about estrogen patches where high dose estrogen is used as a way of delivering HRT. This is a systemic delivery of estrogen classed as HRT, and I've already explained why that might be one of the things you want to consider. I'm talking about low dose estrogen, thinking that such low dose will penetrate the skin and replace what's missing. And the problem is these low dose estrogen products really don't deliver on the promise. Some of them have difficulty penetrating the skin, and the results that they can give, whilst often a little better than just plain moisturizers, are nowhere near the gold standard results that you get with retinoids, particularly prescription retinoids. So they're not a great answer to the problem. So in summary, during the menopause, you're collagen light, you're lipid poor. Your skin also is described often by patients as looking dull and feeling sluggish. Indeed, that's quite often how people in the menopause describe themselves generally to their doctors. I'm feeling kind of dull and a bit sluggish. And that's why this whole question about hormone replacement therapy is an important one. Your grease output decreases, so your dry skin also ends up having slightly dry, brittle hair. You'll find that little nicks on your skin don't seem to heal as well. Wound repair is decreased as well. So there's a whole number of, if you like, holistic or whole body problems during the menopause, and the skin is part of one of those. But treating so many females in my practice, I do want to go just very slightly off brief about one, not strictly dermatological issue, but something that patients talk to me about all the time. Not only on skin itching on the body, but also itching in the vulval area. This is an incredibly problematic problem for huge numbers of women going through the change into menopause. Pruritus and itching, not just of the body skin, but also of the vulval area and around the opening of the vagina. Now, this is triggered by the very same collagen changes and barrier changes that are occurring on your body skin. But this problem, which is also associated with an incredible propensity to get urinary tract infections once menopausal symptoms kick in, is a huge problem for women, and it's massively undertreated. And unlike the estrogen-containing creams on the body, using estrogen-containing creams, gels, or pessaries vaginally have a transformational effect, not only on itching in the vulval area, but also on the incidence of urinary tract infections. And estrogen delivery in this area is not associated with dangers in the rest of the body. And because you get an increased lubrication and swelling of the tissues in this area, it's almost like a female version of Viagra, if you like. I don't mean from a sexual desire point of view. I just mean from a rejuvenation of that area and a transformation in symptoms. And if you are troubled with these symptoms, you must go to your healthcare practitioner and get topical estrogen treatment. Now, this is topical. I'm not talking about systemic treatment with estrogen and some of the concerns. I'm talking about the topical treatment, and it's transformational. So as a dermatologist, I speak to this regularly. Vulval dermatology is a particular specialist area in dermatology. As a procedural dermatologist, it's not my focus of specialization, but as I say, so many patients complain of this, and it can be transformed. So this is a complicated area. It involves not just dermatologists, but also hormone replacement specialists. It actually involves the whole medical profession, because I think we may have misrepresented, now that we've reanalyzed, the key study as to the true dangers of hormone replacement therapy. But I hope you found my little bit on the skin purely of interest, and also, importantly, the vulval dermatological part of the discussion, which I think stands to help literally millions of females around the world. So comments and questions, pop them there, like if you found it helpful, and of course there's likely to be comments on this, and I will be happy to try to address some of those in the future. Most of all, I hope you found it helpful, and tune in for weekly updates in dermatology. Bye now.